25. Uh, 55 to there, and then 40, and then whatever.
Hi everybody, welcome back. B and I are up on the mountain again for, I don't know what day in a row this is, but just another beautiful, sunny, gorgeous fall day. It's been like this all week and we've made lots of progress in this good weather. This week has been all about 4 posts for the 4 bents for the timber frame house that's going up on our foundation. I'm going to jump back and share some of the video from earlier in the week. I made a couple mistakes. I learned a good lesson from one of them anyway, about the order of things. So I'm going to share that with you. And yeah, let's get these posts done. Bee's been barking away at the door to the tiny house for the last 20 minutes. And I couldn't figure out what she was on about. There we go. Somebody was changing clothes at the door to my tiny house. So I got started with marking up the posts yesterday. I marked the top and the bottom, but I didn't cut the tenons on the top and the bottom yet. I'm waiting for a little while, and I'll explain that in a little while. I also got started with the mortises. There's a through mortise that runs through the middle of the beam of the post, and I'm trying a different couple of tools to make this happen. Of course, you saw me with the chain mortiser, and that is the speediest way to get through all this wood. But I need a way to automate the laying out and the starting process of the mortise. So this morning I've developed a very simple jig, and I'm going to try it with the router right away. You also saw yesterday me marking up the wood. It's important to identify the main face, and that could be the face that faces inside the house. It could be the face that faces outside of the house. That's arbitrary. But you have to decide on a main face and an adjoining face. And the ledge between them, the edge between them, is called the arris. And I just had to mark all that out and get it right in my head, and then make sure that I'm always cutting and measuring from the arris to make sure everything is always consistent. And that's just part of a timber framing technique, and I don't know if I'm doing it entirely accurately, but going forward. Also, the third thing is you saw me planing the boards yesterday, and I've given up trying to get it down to 150 mil. I've said in previous videos that my wood is all oversized, 155 mil, so there's 5 mil excess, and it's just way too much. It's just way too much to plane all that off. So I'm taking it down to where I feel comfortable, and that's going to land at 152, 153, 154, something like that. And I know that's going to give me a few headaches in the future, but I'm willing to deal with it then. I really start running with the chain mortiser. The second part of this jig system is the tenon. I need to have a tenon to make sure that a tenon model, a tenon template, to make sure that all the mortises I make are proper. So let's make the tenon jig. We're kind of at, I guess, iteration 1 or phase 1 of the template mortise and tenon template, but the very first attempt to fit them is really snug. Right? I just don't want it that snug. So we do a little bit more finessing of the tenon, I think, is the right thing to do. And smooth it out a little bit more. There's probably a little hill here in the middle. Take it out and make sure it fits. Well, it's still not seating properly, but that's a function of the way I cut the shoulder on this tenon, and it doesn't mean that the actual tenons that I cut on the posts are going to be the same. They're each independent, so if I am more careful with them, then it will seat properly on the template. Now that we have a template, I'm going to try it on the mortise that I cut yesterday with no template. And what we'll have to do is, if it doesn't fit, we'll have to adjust the mortise down there to fit the template. Yeah, it's tight already. Okay, so that means, and I felt that when I was cutting it yesterday. There's parts in here that lift up. Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want. Now if we do it backwards, it still fits, but it's a little tight on that end, so we have to always have the orientation correct. There. We're gonna have... Okay. So the top is level. The top is level. We have to go in 20, right? So we have to go in 20 to right there. And then we'll tilt it. Boom, like that. And that's what I have to cut out. I have laid out the markings for this side of the post, and let's just see if it works. I can see now I'm going to have to build some half-height sawhorses to accommodate the lower requirement for the chain mortiser. For now, I'm making do, but that's got to be a pretty... It looks a little messy, but that's the way things start out, and now it's time to clean it up. little chainsaw action, which I see is already stained. The oil from the chainsaw stains the wood. A little chainsaw and chisel action down this angled slope. Oh, look at that. All right. That's exactly what we want. What does it look like from underneath? Not what we want. We push it, okay, we push it over all the way. And we still got a little bit of a gap there. And not really a gap on top. When we fit it at assembly, it has to align with the top of the mortise. The top of the tie beam and the top of its tenon has to align with the top of the mortise. And you can see here there's a 20 mil gap. That marks the opening on the other side of this log. So we fit it like this at the top, and when we slide it down, leaving a gap here for a wedge. Okay, we load it in from the top. It's fully aligned with the top edge. Boom. And then we'll push it down. Okay. Just preparing to do the housings, which are for the girts. And I'll share some detail with you about that. But just before I got started, I laid out my two posts side by side. We've aligned the bottom of the post and the bottom tenon here. And look what we got going on here. The top and the bottom cuts are lined up, and my mortises are completely off. Now, I'm just getting started again. I expect to be making mistakes, kind of like this, and that's why I haven't cut off the top or the bottom tenons yet. I have about 40 or 60 mil to play with here, both on the top and the bottom. And this is exactly why I wanted this insurance. I can reorient these posts so that the mortises are completely aligned, and then I can redraw the tenons, the lines for the top and bottom tenons. And I see the error, pure transcription error. The distance to the bottom of the mortise is supposed to be 2456 from the shoulder. This one is exactly 2456. This one is 2546. The 5 and the 4, I just mixed them up. This is also an excellent learning for process. I was debating whether, how to cut the pieces, in what order to cut the pieces. As you know from watching previous videos, I have 4 bents to make, and each bent consists of between 5 and 7 pieces. I was planning on cutting one bent at a time, which means I cut 5 different pieces, completely different pieces, and I stack them to the side, then work on the second bent. But what I've decided to do now is I'm going to cut the 4 identical pieces of each bent first, because once I do one, I get into the rhythm and the flow, and I know where the marks have to go. And just like I did in this case, I can put them side by side and check the accuracy of the markings and the cuts. So I'm going to pull up, as soon as I finish correcting this error and doing the housings on these 2 posts, I'm going to pull up the 2 other 20-foot posts and do them as well. The fix is pretty simple here. I've lined up the two mortises as they should be. There's one cut mistake there I ask you to ignore for the moment. And because now the mortises are lined up, I just have to remark the bottom tenon first. And the bottom tenon is right there. I've got lots of buffer here to take care of that, so that's going to be easy. And then on the top, I remark the top tenon as well, and we have just enough to fix this without any issues. A little bit of cleanup. Okay, so we've got our two longest. Those are both 5 meter. These are our two 6 meter. three posts lined up like this, the marking is really easy and quick. I hardly need the measuring tape, though I kept it out just to be safe. You know, the middle post, I've already marked it and noted in my file that there was a mistake here. I didn't put the wedge in, didn't cut it properly for the wedge. So this is the accurate model on the inside face. So I'm going to replicate that right here. And really all I need to do is put the template on it. Okay, chain mortiser is next, and that's after lunch. Actually, I'm going to go up top. It's beautiful having this covered area, of course, but I feel like I'm always undercover now. So I'm going to go have lunch up top. I'll take you with me. See, I want to have that angle right there. And like that. Okay, can't see anything, but that's definitely way too deep. The takeaway is this one is not deep enough, but almost there, which is good. That means I can take off the wood to this angle right here, and then just for this, you know, last 2/3 of the mortise, I can chisel that out like an 1/8 of an inch off. So if I go in exactly at this second stage angle, I'll take off most of the wood that I need to. You can't tell on the camera, but it did cut out exactly what I thought it would. Because the chain isn't long enough, it left a bevel down here, which I take out after I turn it over. About perfect. Okay, well, from log on the pile to finished as much as I want to finish right now, it took me about 90 minutes, so that's pretty good. I have one more that I want to do now, then these 4 will be done, except for the top and bottom tenons. Okay, and we are done for the day. The 4 posts are as done as I want them. Well, the last post took me about an hour and 45 minutes, and that sounds long, but it sounds a lot different from the full day that I spent, 2 or 3 days ago. So definitely getting into the groove. The planing took about 45 minutes. The mortise, the first main mortise, took about 40 minutes. The measuring and marking, probably 15 minutes. And the last housing, which I only needed 1, these 2 here, I needed 2, so they took longer. But this last one only took about 15 minutes. So yeah, baby. Okay, I'm going off to the little festival in town now after I get cleaned up. And look at Bee, she's just dirty. Sleeping like a hamster in the sawdust. After I get cleaned up, get this place cleaned up, get all the tools packed away, I think I may even take a personal day tomorrow. Just because I can. Okay, everybody, thanks for hanging around. Have a great day.